that you're going to get access to a bunch of items to prep for the Solutions Architect Associate exam. One is Tutorials Dojo, which is a practice exam. The other is a custom ramp up guide, which is specific to certification, like then the skills for certification. And then there is some access to some hands-on experience via Quick Labs. The Quick Labs that we're talking about, though, is not the AWS partner one. It's the one that's like the public side of Quick Labs. So I'm going to talk about those three pieces really quick, and then I'm going to show you where to put your voucher code in order to register for an exam. And that's it. And so, if you're comfortable with this or you've seen this from me before, feel free to go ahead and drop off. We're going to resume at 8:30 tomorrow morning. But note that I am recording this, so you'll have this available and accessible. So first and foremost is that AWS does have their own generic ramp-up guides. And I say generic, they're actually super detailed, but they're really not about like certification study. They're really about for someone who is just, brand new going into AWS and you want to get ready for a role. That's what it's really for, right? So just note that the architecture one is over here. Once you download it and open it, what's going to happen is it's going to walk you through the different like layers and levels, including the fundamentals, step one. And it's going to have web pages, white papers, and digital trainings that are going to help you kind of prepare, to pass the exam. This includes the well-architected framework, possible classroom trainings like technical essentials, which you don't necessarily have to take, right? Architecting on AWS, which you absolutely must take. You can't survive without it. I'm just kidding. That doesn't really, but you are taking it with me, so that's good enough. And then there's also some optional stuff like, if you really want to prepare for the exam, Amazon sometimes offers these exam readiness workshops. But they're, honestly, I don't know, they're just not as good as the multi-week study plans that we give you, just the way it is. But notice that in here are things like the well-architected labs, security by design, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So self-paced labs are here as well. And then notice that there's an exam prep like class that you can take. This is a free digital training under Skill Builder, an exam guide. The only thing I'd probably say like avoid is that you can look at the sample questions, but if they offer you like a free practice test, we got that covered. So don't look at this one. This is a little bit of overtraining. And just to mention this is that it is missing a lot of material for how to study for the pro exam. Like this is not good enough to actually prepare for the pro exam. So I'm not even sure why this is here. This is super deficient. But for the associate's exam, it's great. Matter of fact, I'm like, really? You got one tiny little section to prepare for the pro exam? The pro exam, by the way, is 2 or 3 times orders of magnitude harder than the associate's exam. So I don't know why they have this here, but no, no. All right, so this is here, and I have a customized program guide that I'm going to share with you tomorrow. That's a little bit more like detailed, but it's slimmer, right? So it's got a slimmer focus as far as like the things that you really need to know to both have the skills and pass the certification. But I want you to know this was here. So this is going to be bundled together and kind of like given to you. The other thing I wanted to make sure that you are aware of is that you will get access to something called Tutorials Dojo. Tutorials Dojo is full of practice exams for the Certified Solutions Architect Associates exam, but it has all the AWS exams. When you sign up for this, which by the way, we are taking care of, so you should already have an email that has like a voucher code, but you're gonna have to create an account. It has instructions. You already, like Chris said, you got a bunch of emails from us, right? If you go and look at these tests, once you've gotten signed up, is that these tests are hands down one of the best ways to pass the AWS certification once you've actually done the actual expertise building. Now, these things range from review mode, time mode, section-based, topic-based. We're asking you to actually take 2 to 3 sets of the review mode exams. You want to take one of these sets of review modes until you can get 90%, and then take a second one until you can get 90%. And if you've never touched AWS before in a production capacity, You're going to take a third one and take it again and again until you can get 90%. And here's why. Like this is like set 3 of the review mode set. And the reason we love this is that, John thus far has been one of the best like practice exam, creators that we've ever seen. And we think it's because he's got an eidetic memory and he talks to AWS to figure out how he can stay not crossing the line with them as far as like, because he remembers every question. So like, for example, this question, which is about design, secure applications and architecture, they're using multiple AWS accounts and they're using organizations, and they want to copy S3 objects to another bucket that belongs in a different account than what they own. The SA was instructed to set up necessary permissions for the task and ensure that the destination account owns the copied object and not the account it was sent from. So how does it do that, right? Well, in this particular case, it's asking like, hey, do we turn on the pay feature request? Do we set up cross-origin resource sharing, right? Do we configure cross-account permissions by using a customer managed policy with allows a role to copy objects from one bucket to the other? Or do we connect the buckets to two different using work docs? That sounds weird. I didn't even know you could do that with the work docs. I'm just going to take a stab in the dark here and say it's probably the third one. And the thing we like about this is that this is going to give you the correct answer, which is cool. But what really the rubber hits the road is why the other answers are wrong. Like you heard me chuckle about them using work docs, right? Which means I know something about what work docs is actually used for, and it's not used for what they're trying to use it for. And so this is the great gold about these kind of practice exams is not only do you get to practice taking an exam, which gets that muscle stronger because it's been a while for some of us, but he's going to tell you why that answer is right and why all the other answers are wrong. And then he's going to tell you where he got those references from the official AWS documentation. And then if you keep missing questions on it, he's going to give you a cheat sheet. So this is the Tutorials Dojo. You should have an email that will allow you to register for this. And so your goal here is to take these questions again and again until you can get above a 90%. That is your litmus test. If you can get a 90% on 2 or 3 of these sets of review mode questions, you are most likely ready to pass the exam. I say that because nothing's a guarantee, but thus far, every person who has followed the either ramp up guide or our program guide and has done these practice exams as well as the study that's listed in those guides, first time they've all passed. Now, it doesn't mean that somebody else isn't going to fail. It's not a guarantee, but that's a pretty good track record that hundreds of students at Booz, to be specific, have passed the exam because of taking this setup, right? So just know that you need the ramp up guide or our simplified, study guide, and you need the practice exams to really like get ready for the exam. The other third thing that you need, other than the study guide and the actual practice exam questions, which you get from Tutorials Dojo, is you're going to need probably at least a little bit of hands-on experience, because they're going to throw scenarios at you and they're going to be labs. So just know that out of all the exams, the Solutions Architect Pro, sorry, let me correct what I just said. The Solutions Architect Associates doesn't have any practical hands-on experience in it. So you won't actually get any labs in that exam. I was going to cross in my brain wires for a second. The System Operations Associate exam has labs in it. So the reason you need the hands-on experience is actually not for the labs. It's really just to drive the concepts deeper if you are that kind of person. Now, how does that happen for someone at Booz Allen? Well, it's actually pretty cool. If you go to amazon.quicklabs.com, which some of you already have if you've taken a prior class with me, you've already created an account here. When you create an account here at this site, which is different than your login to webage.quicklabs.com, what's going to happen is that this is only going to constrain you to AWS classes. If I type in, for example, introduction to, just as an example, it's going to bring up a bunch of classes like API Gateway, which by the way is included in this class over the next 2 days, Elastic Load Balancing, which you're also going to see in this class, Key Management Service. Now notice that some of these are a credit, some of these are free. There might even be some more advanced ones here, like serverless as an example, that might actually cost like, I don't know, 24 credits or 10 credits or 8 credits. If you use your Booz Allen email address to sign up for your account on amazon.quicklabs.com, you have already been put on an allow list that allows you to log in, create your account, and you will get practically unlimited credits out here to run labs. I say practically, like you're in a shared system. So notice that I have 8 credits right here because I'm part of an instructor pool. This thing goes up and down all the times because they buy credits and then other people use them. You're in the same boat. You're sharing your credits with other Booz students who have also registered for this. So you're going to see your credits go up and down, but they should never hit 0 because we get a notification when they get close to 0. So my point being is that this allows you to practice things like DynamoDB or event-driven architectures, which I was talking about earlier. This is going to cost you 10 credits. Normally that would be $10 out of pocket for you. You get it for free. So between the ramp up guide, which also you're going to get a program guide as well from us that's more simplified, the practice exams, which you want to get at least 2 or 3 of those at 90% pass, repeatedly, plus the amazon.quicklabs.com hands-on labs, which you get for free for being a Booz employee. This should definitely set you up to pass the Solutions Architect or Associate exam. So we're going to get all those details bundled together for you and passed on to you. But does anyone have any questions about what the function is for the study guide, the practice exam questions, or the practice labs?
For the review mode exams, those practice exams, are those if I take one time, if I retake, are those questions like the same repeat questions, like, or they randomly get picked for you each time I take
Same set of questions.
Yeah, so I may end up memorizing.
Well, Vinod, you're supposed to memorize them.
Oh, is that right? I see.
This is a trivia exam, right? Yeah. Now, if you don't know why it's the right answer and you're just straight up memorizing it, yeah, that could be a problem. But that's why John gives you the right answer and the wrong answer. But let's be frank, if you know why that's the right answer and you memorize that answer, awesome. That sounds great. I'm game. By the way, if you do 2 sets of questions, that means you memorize the answer to 130 scenarios. If you do it for 3 sets of questions, that means you memorized it for 195 scenarios. So I'm cool with that, right? But just know that I wouldn't do the practice exams alone. You need to read the white papers and then do the practice exams. So, but if you memorize it, great. I love that. Because, even if you get a 90, these questions are not exact. And you're going to be nervous because we all are. So you're going to lose about 10 points because, we're nervous and everything else. And so just know that I had somebody last week who took cloud practitioners and they pulled their score out, and she had never touched AWS before. And that's obviously a foundational exam. She got an 8, like 86 or something like that. She was shocked. Right. But that's unusual. Typically people score in the low 800s, right, when they take this, because they just lose it because it's an exam, right? We're all a little nervous.
Yeah. And what is the study guide that you mentioned?
So the ramp up guides that I was just looking at earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So these not that, that's Pocket. These ramp up guides can be used to study, right? So that's if you type in AWS ramp up guide, that will take you straight to that page that you were just looking at. I'm also going to post it in the chat so you can have it.
Gotcha.
And don't worry, you're going to get an email with all these links in it on the last day. So even if you forget everything I just said, you're going to have it at some point.
Oh, sir, you are so kind. Like I took another course with you, and all the information, the treasure of the information you provided, that's so appreciated.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it easy. It's not necessarily an easy life out there. So good. I'm glad you appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Let's see. Did I post the Amazon? Yeah, I did. That was the first thing I posted. Perfect. Okay. Let's talk about this last thing. This one will be pretty straightforward. Okay. So you want to take an exam because somehow I have brainwashed you and convinced you that's a good idea, or maybe Booz is like, hey, We don't love you unless you have a certification, which is not true, but they might say that. I'm just kidding. They don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. They love certifications, but they're not going to abandon you. So let's say you come in here and you get all signed in because you clicked on that schedule and exam button and you got signed in. And by the way, just to say this, unless you know you have a partner account, you're going to sign in on the left-hand side using your straight up Amazon.com account. And you can use whatever account you want. Word of caution, do not create an AWS account using your booz email because you will get a call from security. They'll send an email, talk to your manager. It's not going to be a big deal. They're just going to be checking in and they're going to shut your account down. So let's just avoid all that headache. But once you're actually into you clicked on the schedule and exam and you got logged in and all that, the first thing that I want to do is that, oh, look at that. They moved the practice exams to Skill Builder. That's interesting. These practice exams are not really that great, so I probably wouldn't use them anyway. But let's say you want to register for exams. So you're going to click this button on the right-hand side, register for an exam. And then what you're going to do is you're going to scroll down. Notice that I have exams scheduled coming up soon. That's going to be fun. Moving on, let's say you want to take the Solutions Architect Associates, which is SAA-C02, and you're just going to click on Pearson View. Now, it's going to log you into Pearson View's system, and then the first question it's going to ask you is that, do you want to take it at a testing center or take it at home? I'm going to tell you that ideally, and I want you to be super safe, you use your best judgment, take care of yourself and your family. I don't know your circumstances, and especially with Omicron out. I got a bunch of friends who work for the CDC. Not happy about it. I would prefer that you take it at a testing center. I know that sounds weird. Testing centers are clean. They're wiped down. Call and check on your particular thing. But if you can't do it, you can't do it, right? The reason I want you to take it as a testing center is that if you take this test at home, you've got to clear off your desk. You can't have two monitors. You can't have anything on your desk. You can't have anything on your wrist. There can be nobody in the home. No one can walk in, and you're not going to go to the bathroom the entire time that you're taking the exam, which is like 2 hours and 30 minutes. Okay. Which is fine. Most of us can hold it. So my point being is that there's a ton of setup when you do it at home. Now, I usually just take my laptop, grab it, go out to my dining room table, pull it away from the wall, kick everybody out, put the dog in a crate in another room, which he actually likes, which is kind of strange. But whatever. And then I pull the table away from the wall because you have to take pictures of all four sides of your desk, including the back and the underside. So that's what I do to get ready, but I've got that down to a science. And, my family's used to me going, you know what? You all are going to have to get out. I love you. See you in 3 hours. Right. So let's say we choose online because, we've got that system down. You're going to need to read all of this, including the admissible ID and all this other stuff, right? And I would not use your Booz Allen system to take this test. If you have your own laptop or desktop that can meet those requirements, I would use that instead. Remember, one monitor, nothing on the table. You have to take pictures of all four sides of your desk. So plan accordingly. Now, once you've decided whether you're going to go into the office or come out to the testing center, you're going to pick your language, which there's quite a few available, including modern Spanish, which is interesting. And then it's going to give you the pricing and just confirm that that's what you wanted. And then you're going to basically click away your first, second, and third born children. I'm just kidding. It's just going to do things like facial comparison. And then here's the admissions policy, including you can only change and reschedule 2 times before they're going to ask you to cancel. You have 48 hours before the test to actually change it if you decide to do that. Different things like that. And then they're going to ask you whether you would prefer your proctor to speak English or Japanese, which I find to be very interesting options for a verbal proctor. But that's okay. We'll go with English. That's fine. Nihongo dekimasu ka? And then over here, what you would do is you would choose your time. So let's say I love Sundays because, why not? Maybe that's my quiet day. Choose 24 hours. Let's say I'm really good at 7:15 at night, which is absolutely not true. I'd be asleep by 8. And then here's the exam, and they're going to confirm everything. And once again, they're going to say, hey, by the way, this is what it's going to cost. Then you proceed to checkout. After you get through all of that, you've chosen your time, your place, your online, you've chosen your languages, both written and verbal. This is where you enter the voucher. So at this point, and I think it comes on the last day or maybe on Thursday, you're going to get the voucher promo code. It is a single shot. You stick it right here. You click apply because that'll go great at that point. And then guess what? You now have access to a free run at the test. All these card details, if I remember correctly, all go away. So I don't think you need the card details anymore. And you click on next and it will ask you to confirm. You say yes. And then it's going to send you some emails saying, hey, you've got a test on the 29th of December. You should get ready for that. And then it's going to send you an email 3 days before and a day before. If you schedule this at noon on a Sunday, you have to show up at 11:30 to get this whole process started. So I know it says it's a 2 hour and 10-minute exam. It's going to be a 2 hour and 40-minute exam. Because especially the first time you take these tests, you got to show up 30 minutes in advance because you got to manipulate, get your photo ID ready, get your desk ready. And then you're going to be waiting for the proctor to come online and kind of like get you ready to take the test. When you take the test, you can't cover your mouth. You can't have any noises whatsoever. You can have nothing written, no phone, no nothing. The system is going to eat your screen. So it's going to take the whole thing over and you're not going to be able to alt tab or click on anything else. They're going to warn you if you like violate any of these things, and they're going to be very clear about what the consequences are for the next step. So like if it's your second time of covering your mouth and talking to yourself, they're going to say, sir, the next time we do that, we're going to cancel the exam, right? Just so you know, they were very kind, but they are very direct about letting you know when you're getting close to violating their kind of like boundaries. They will, I can't imagine how hard it is to proctor an exam remotely, but they're doing their best. So recommendation, take it at the testing center. If you do it at home, just make sure you read all of the requirements. Okay. And that's it. So between the study guides, the practice exams, the practice labs, and then just that whole process of signing up, that should give you a good idea of like how to prep for the exam. Now tomorrow I'm going to make sure it's all collated so you have all the files together so you can actually see them all in one clean space. And then what we're going to do is we're going to practice exam questions the next 2 times we meet so I can deconstruct how to attack these questions and the things to think about when you go to take the exam. Okay. Huh. Look at that. It's 4:59. Any questions for me before we close for the day?
Yes, we talked about a lot of restrictions around the in-home test. So if you take the test at the center, will they be asking for like the vaccination proof or, like no travel, something like that, or, no travel within last 2 weeks and all those kind of conditions?
Well, they're going to require you to keep your mask on the entire time, and they are going to sanitize stuff because you have no reason not to take your mask off, right? The only time they'll take it off is for you to verify your ID. Everything is like 100% sanitized. I don't know if they're requiring proof of vaccination. I don't think they're making that distinction. But like I said, you're not going to touch anything that isn't sanitized before. But my response to you, Sean, would be call the testing center and find out what their protocols are, because it's going to vary by testing site. So before you sign up.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Any last minute comments? Other questions?
One last question for you. Sir, how long is the voucher valid?
Let's see. I think the voucher is valid until March.
Okay.
So you want to sign up and take the exam by then.
So yeah, sir, is there sir, I already have, I had this certification, believe 2 years. I took this I don't know, mine is still, I may have 6-7 months left.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any advantage getting certified now? If I get certified now, does it mean that remaining 6 months will be lost?
Well, was it a 3-year last time or was it a 2-year? Do you remember?
This is a third year running.
Okay. Well, I think they've extended it to 3 years now, but maybe it was 3 years before, but I think it was 2 years actually back in 2018.
I think it's 3 years. When he got it, it was 3 years.
Okay, so it must have just changed. So you will actually lose the time and you'll get recertified out for 3 years.
But what if, God forbid, what if if I fail? Do they take away the previous certification?
Mm-mm. Nope.
No.
They do not. No.
Oh, cool. Okay, then, then we should try.
So let me ask you this. I think if you're, let's say you are due on November of 2022, and if you're taking the test now, will it extend 3 years from November or will it extend 3 years from now?
I want to say that it extends 3 years from now. I don't think it extends 3 years from November because I think it extends from recertification date. Now, if you take the pro exam and you recertify, like when I did that before, it actually recertifies you from the date of recertification. So I think it does it from the date that you've taken the exam. But that's just from me, like from experience. I don't know that I've seen any documentation on that.
These are what you said. That's what I heard as well.
Yeah, it does it from the recertification date, the time you took the exam, not from the end of it doesn't append the time. So it replaces it. Cool. All right. Any other comments or questions? All right, y'all. Let's see. 5 o'clock now. We're going to meet tomorrow at 8:30. We're going to continue with storage. Thank you for hanging out with me today. And we'll cover some more pieces tomorrow. We'll do practice exams. So have a great evening. Stay warm. Enjoy your family. Stay safe. And then we'll see you tomorrow at 8:30.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Later. Thank you.